Life Rhythms with Ryan Skyy. Observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all.
9 o'clock on a thigh, smoke some weed and it hit the spot. Maybe it's helping me, maybe it's helping me, maybe it's not. Then I ate too much for breakfast and I ain't checked shit off the checklist. It's depressing and it's not even 11.
Pew, 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 pew.
I know.
You need your goodbye.
I know. Sometimes I have remix in here and he farts and stuff, but that's about all the sound effects.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
You're like, it wasn't me, it was the dog.
Yeah. Welcome to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I'm your host, Ryan Skyy. Life Rhythms is a radio show that revolves around my personal growth journey. As a DJ and a producer, I spent a lot of my time observing the world around me, looking inward, trying to make sense of it all. I've been doing it in song form, and now I do it on my radio show. Each episode of Life Rhythms, we feature one guest and one song, and I choose topics around that song for us to talk about during the episode. I'm excited today because I have here in the studio with me Kennedi.
Hello, hello.
She's a singer, songwriter. She's an artist. She won a Grammy.
Prodigy.
You
know.
I mean, seriously, like you started young and already you won a Grammy for writing on Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia album. You've written for Ray and David Guetta and Snoop Dogg, Britney Spears, Jonas Brothers, Maroon 5, Jessie J, Kesha, Becky G.
Bryan Adams for my parents. Was very excited about that one.
Yeah, and now you're stepping into your music project.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about that. We're featuring your song Quit Tomorrow, which we played a little bit of coming into the start of this. And also you're going to do a live acoustic performance.
Yes.
As well.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about the lyrics about Quit Tomorrow. We're going to talk about your relationship with sobriety and with drugs and alcohol and just being an artist, being in the industry.
Yep.
What else are we talking about?
Just everything, how it works, being a songwriter versus an artist.
Yeah. And kind of like what's it like to work your whole life to achieve the Grammy and then you win the Grammy and kind of like post experience.
Managing expectations. Numbers.
Yeah, all of those sorts of things, like the craziness of writing songs for artists, and then those songs are getting billions of streams, and then you're wanting to put your own stuff out, but you kind of feel like you're starting,
and it's 20 people are listening now,
starting from scratch in a way. It's like kind of crazy, but the songs speak for themselves, and you're definitely well on your way. So we're going to talk about all of that.
It's a smash.
We're going to take a break. We'll talk about all of that.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay. We'll see you soon on Life Rhythms.
It kind of seems hypocritical that they try to teach you when you're vulnerable. Hey, you try to undo it and get addicted to it all. Well, I'm gon' quit it tomorrow. I know I said it twice yesterday.
Welcome back to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I'm your host, Ryan Skyy. This episode is brought to you by Mixillery.com. I'm excited to have Mixillery on as a sponsor personally because Mixillery is all about connecting people who are looking to hire a remixer. It's a platform that you can use to find and hire someone to remix your song. And why that's so important is because anybody can go online and you can search music producers, you can search for remixers, you can hire somebody, but it's like, how much do you pay them and who should you hire and what genre should you choose? And with option overload, it can be a little overwhelming to figure out what's the best use of your money. Because what it comes down to is remixes are marketing tools. A remix of a record will get that record in front of a larger audience. It will get that record played in venues and areas like the gym or a club or a car or a fitness studio, places that maybe your original song may not be appropriate for. So it is an important marketing tool, but then who remixes it is important because first of all, the quality of the remix, and also maybe they have their own audience that's going to discover this remix. Maybe they have a following. Maybe they have a radio show. Maybe they tour and they'll be playing it out live. These are all sorts of things that are important. So Mixillery is a service that will help match you with the best remixer for your budget. So check out Mixillery.com for more information on this. IW family, I've got with me in the studio my guest today, Kennedi, and welcome to Life Rhythms.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
It's going to be fun.
For those listening, this is why you care about Kennedi. You've heard songs that she's written. She's a songwriter. She's a Grammy-winning songwriter. She wrote on Dua Lipa's last album, Future Nostalgia.
Yep.
Right? You've written for Ariana Grande.
I have.
Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
I have the list here. It's pretty long. I just wrote you wrote Ray. You wrote Secrets for Ray, which that's how I first heard about you.
Oh, amazing.
Because I love that song.
Yeah.
And actually, I first heard about you. You were it was because you were performing at the Jesse and Friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I saw you on there and I was like, oh, I love some of the songs she's written. Like I was thinking about having you on the show, but at the time you didn't have a song out.
Yep.
So I was like, kind of just like, well, I'll just keep an eye. Like, she's on my radar.
Yeah.
And then when she has something out, I'll have her on the show.
Oh, awesome.
Because you like, if you're gonna come on, like want to make the most of it by
of course
having right. And then just one day, a post popped up that's your song was out, and I was like, oh, perfect.
We love that. That's perfect. The promotion is working.
Yeah,
the TikToks I'm making are working.
Literally, I mean, it was on Instagram. I'm on TikTok now. I'm new to TikTok.
Okay.
So, but I'm like in the TikTok game now. But it's gonna be like a while.
It's a lot.
I started out with like 60 followers.
Okay.
And I'm up to like 160.
There we go.
I was like, all right.
It's growth. It's growth.
I mean, it's just numbers. But I'll actually. I want to talk to you about numbers because I don't pay it. I really try to consciously not pay attention to it.
Yeah.
You have dealt with a lot of numbers in your career already.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you deal with it? How does it affect you? And and has that changed since you first started out?
It is it's a monster. It's difficult to deal with because when I think about it too hard, it messes me up. Like it's like as a songwriter, I've written like the songs that I have written have generated over 2 billion streams.
That's
and
so crazy.
Every month, like I think it's like 20 million or something like that. And so like as far as songwriters go, I'm one of the top 1% in the entire globe. But as far as an artist goes, nobody knows me. So it's like
That's so wild.
Yeah. So it's such like a mindfuck, honestly, as it's like, okay, so I have all of the success writing for other people, but when it comes to my own stuff, like nobody knows. And so to get them to pay attention is so much harder. And now we're in this day and age where they want to be entertained. You want to be making content on TikTok, on Instagram, and it's like, oh, this is exhausting. But that's the game now. So it's like, but
that's true. That's a game, and you kind of have to decide like, do I want to play? Like, it's like either I'm in or I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't really half-ass it.
No,
otherwise you're wasting your time.
Absolutely. And like I always said, like I just don't have a plan B. Like it's like I know I'm gonna be one of the biggest artists in the world one day, and so it's just more of a matter of like when that happens. So it's just like gotta stay grinding, gotta stay playing. But looking at the numbers, like if I think about it, it will mess me up. But it's just like I know the quality of the songs that I create because like I have gotten that recognition and I have seen it reflected on other people's careers. And so it's almost kind of in a way extra validating because it's like, okay, wait, no, I know that my pen is my strong suit. So it's like, and these songs that I'm starting to put out now, like I've been working on them for 5 years and I've been like stiff arming anyone in the industry who's like big. I've ruined relationships with big artists who have wanted these records, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's mine. Like I don't know how you heard it, but like it's it's my song and my story.
And
so
they don't like to hear that.
Of course
they're
not.
Used to being told no.
Of course not. Yeah, they definitely don't.
Yeah.
But like, I mean that's a whole nother thing. Like when I was 18 when I signed my publishing deal, and I had no idea that like big artists weren't writing their songs. And so like my whole bubble was like popped. Like I was like, wait a second, what? And so when big artists wanted to cut my records, I was so young at that time that like I didn't realize I was giving them my story for them to tell.
Yeah.
And so it was like, not only did I feel kind of cheated in that way, that it was like in my mind, it was like I thought I was going to be singing the song, but then also when you come down to it, because every song coming out, like it's a battle. Like you get into split wars about percentages, and the songwriter always, no matter what, gets the short end of the stick. They don't get paid for 2 years. And so like when I was 18, I signed my deal. Like I was the happiest kid in the world because I thought $100,000 was going to last me for my whole life. And that like, it was just, so it took me 4 to 5 years to 1, recoup, but 2, also understand how to not give away
and
my
recouping for people listening, because not everyone understands.
Yeah.
So that $100,000, it's like an advance.
It's an advance
that you owe them back, or that they need to recoup that from future profits from songs you've written.
Yes.
So you're saying it took 4 or 5 years
to recoup. Yeah.
For there to be enough revenue coming in to make up for that, right?
Yeah.
For
that first check. Yeah.
Damn.
So that's the crazy thing is like, you know, that sounds like a lot of money, but after you pay 20% to your manager, you know, like 40% to the government.
I was going to say taxes.
Like, yeah, it's like everything, you know, you're left with like kind of pennies. And so it's a, you know, the songwriting, streaming just has really damaged songwriters because, you know, I've been very, very, I'm not going to say lucky because I work so hard and like the songs are so good. And like, but you know, other friends that I have that are also in the industry, like they do like 3 to 4 sessions a day, like just because they're trying to do like lottery, you know, to just get anything to try and, you know, recoup that huge advance that like.
Kind of like a numbers game. Like the more I put out, then my odds of something popping maybe will increase.
Yeah. And what I've always said, like even since I've been, I guess 18, was just like we need better songs, not more. And like with the amount of songs, I think it's like, and this statistic was from years ago, but I think it was like 100,000 songs are uploaded to Spotify a day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's way more than that. But like,
especially with AI here. Oh, yeah.
It's just like, oh my God. There's every single day. The one thing that I've noticed is that every single day, the music industry is changing. So it's like, okay, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to fold over and be like, oh, I give up? Or are you just going to pivot and keep going and like figure out ways to make the system work for you in a sense? Yeah. Like it's, it's a monster.
It is a monster.
It just is.
Yeah. That reminds me of actually this morning, because I mentioned earlier Jessie and Friends. And did you see her post? I don't know if it was today, but talking about the monster of the industry and like how your mind is your biggest enemy or your biggest obstacle.
Yep.
And about how a lot of people are when they fail, it's because they're getting caught up in numbers or they're getting caught up. Yeah, basically they're getting caught up in numbers and then they kind of like get worn out and then they quit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happens to probably 99%
Do you see that
of people.
A lot?
Yeah, absolutely. Or you get caught up in comparison. Like I always say comparison is the devil. Like with, because like, for example, like we could take Billie Eilish, right? So when Billie was maybe 16, I was 18. And like it was me and her. And we were sitting together at the Winston house and we had just met. And this was when like Billie and Phineas like had just taken off. Like nobody really knew about them yet. And I remember sitting, talking to Billie and just being like, I think you're going to be one of the biggest stars in the world. And we just had like a really cool conversation where we both were like, we're both going to be the biggest stars in the world. And like now, what is it? Like 4 or 5 years later, like Billie's one of the biggest stars in the world and I'm still here, you know, like at this point. And I don't say I'm still here as in like it's lower. My journey's just been different. And so it's like if I were to look at that and be like, oh, that should have been me. Like that should have been like whatever. Like, oh, now it's not going to happen. Like, no, my journey is just different. You know, people are still hearing my songs just in a completely different way. Like it might not be my face, like, but they definitely know like works that I've created. So it's like when you compare yourself to somebody else, it just generates these feelings that are, you know, jealousy, like disgust, like it's like worthlessness. Like it's just like a bug, you know what I mean? And it's like
a virus. It's like a mind virus.
Yeah. And like that's the one thing that Jesse's talking about is it's just like you are your worst enemy. Like it's like when I wake up in the morning, it's like I can choose how I go about my day. Like is it's like, am I gonna stop myself or am I gonna help myself?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Where did this mentality come from? How are you able to think like this?
Oh my God, rehab.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, honestly.
So like at first, because you're sober now.
Yes.
So at first were you dealing with, you're
I was sober for like a year.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you, you had said something about reintegrating.
Yes.
What you said?
Renewing my relationship with alcohol. That is still a little bit of a sketchy statement. We're still kind of, I mean, let's back up. So like when I was 14, I was diagnosed with depression. And so they put me on, you know, antidepressants. And then they put me on like things to help with side effects for whatever. And then like before I knew it, I was 21 years old on 7 different types of medications for different diagnoses. And like I was just over medicated. I had seen so many doctors, and then I was self-medicating because I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. And like, but I was working and I was like very successful, so I didn't have time to stop and be not okay. So I was not okay for a really long time, and I was working with people who told me that it was beneficial for my brand that I was not okay. Like they would be like, you know, you're just a rock star, like you're a pill popper, like that's just what, you know, you do. And I was 21 years old sitting people down who are a decade older than me and being like, I just don't feel like it's sustainable. Like I don't, you know, like I can't walk up a hill. But and as opposed to helping me, they were recording me and like laughing and like,
wow.
There's just a really dark side of our industry that I still don't feel like people are comfortable talking about. But I mean, I experienced.
What is that? Is that business related? Is it like?
It's all intertwined. It's business related. It's a popularity contest.
Yes.
It's you know, you want to say, like, it's just.
Well, it's like everyone's trying to climb up the mountain, and so there's always a play. There's like definitely a social play of like, who am I going to work with?
It's like I'm going to help you, but I'm going to keep you here. Because if I surpass you, then it's like,
But it's also like, no, I don't want to work with you because you're not quite high enough. That's going to help me.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely a game like that.
It's so bizarre. And that was very difficult to navigate, like being a young woman in the industry, but also just like a person in general, trying to navigate like I grew up in a town of 1,000 people who it's like, when you ask someone how you're doing, you're listening to the answer. Like, it's like, you know, you are there to like personal connections always was like number one for me, and like getting to know people, and especially when you're like, so anyways, got a little bit like lost, but like with other people, when I started working in this industry and meeting so many people every day, seeing that wasn't it wasn't that it wasn't necessary, but people didn't care. Like, it was like, no, what can you give me? I don't care how you feel. Like, it's like, what can, you know, people would reach out their hand and be like, hi, what do you do? Before they would ask me what my name was.
Yeah.
And I was just
cringe.
like, and I mean, I'm like 18, 19, and everyone else was, you know, a lot older than me. So I was like looking to them kind of in a way of like how to act, how to like whatever. And so I was on one. I thought I was the shit. I thought I was a rock star for a very long time, and I just, you know, kept getting these placements with these big artists and like thinking about how high I was, or like how just like, and I'm not talking about like, you know, people didn't know that like I had an issue, you know, it was just something that I just knew I couldn't be sober. Like, it was like I was stoned all the time, but it was okay because I worked with Snoop Dogg and we rolled up one together, and you know, I outsmoked him. So like,
holy shit, did you?
Yeah, I did. And like, so that was like so crazy, you know, that was like, but it wasn't sustainable. No. And so there was one day where I had a meeting with somebody to discuss a logo for my brand or whatever, and he ended up drugging my drink and raping me like that night. Like, it was, I had to work with an artist the next day. My mom was coming to town. I'm also gay, so I'm not into men. And it was a very traumatic, beyond traumatic experience that like I took me forever to process. Like, I decided I wanted to report it. That was even worse. Like, it was a disaster. And so I just got bogged down by not being able to work, like being depressed, just couldn't be sober. And so I went to rehab.
Wow.
And it was the best thing.
How long ago was this?
That was about a year ago now.
Okay.
So then, wow. A little over a year. And I kind of started this new journey of being sober. I joined AA, did the 12 steps, completed it, got a sponsor, did all of that, and was just like really focused on healing my body and my mind. And like I had never meditated before. Do you meditate?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Not a ton. I've now I can meditate, like, it sounds kind of crazy, but when I'm driving.
Yeah.
like I'll drive in silence.
Yeah.
And for me, I can like center and calm my mind, and it's a similar kind of
That's
thing.
big. No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
big. And like I had never meditated before, and it was my first time, sitting at rehab. And I didn't go to like one of the cool rehabs. You know what I mean? Like I went to one that my insurance covers. Like
Yeah.
the characters that I met were wild. Like I went to like one of the real ones, sticky socks and everything. Like it was a whole
yeah.
it was a whole situation. And it was like the maybe 4th or 5th day, and I was meditating, and I had this crazy epiphany that like I was looking at a scratch on my arm, and I was like, okay, so this scratch is like scabbed over now and almost healed. And I was like, that's so cool that the body heals itself like that. Like that's insane that like you can just get a little paper cut and then it heals itself. And like if you give it time, if you address the wound, I was like, the same thing needs to be said then for your brain, right? Or for something emotionally traumatic that like doesn't maybe have a physical wound, but like with time and with allowing yourself to process and heal. Like if you can't do it yourself, go to a doctor, go to a therapist, go to somebody who knows how to help that wound. And I was trying so hard to smoke through the pain. I was trying so hard to drink through the pain.
Yeah.
I was just doing, I was just covering it up. No wonder it got infected. No wonder it got to the point where it was bubbling over, that like it was bleeding into my relationships, into my friendships, into my everyday aspects of my life. Like I didn't deal with it. I hadn't sat with myself in a really long time and just been like, I'm not good. Like I need to feel these feelings and like process this stuff, you know? And it was crazy because everything just after I was sober for almost a year. So that's like the present day. Like it's like within the past month that I've been cracking a beer and smoking a joint. But
is that by choice, or is that a response to stress, or kind of like habit?
It was absolutely by choice. I got to the point where it was like, I don't need alcohol. I don't need weed. I don't think it enhances my life at all. But like I was in Berlin visiting my girlfriend, and there was like this Michelin star restaurant that does these crazy cool cocktail things and like pairing with like this amazing like meal. And like I love experiences, and I was like, the fact that I don't want to go to this restaurant or experience this because like it's paired with the cocktails, like you could do it like non-alcoholic or whatever, but like it's an experience. Like I was like, I'm 25. Like I don't want to like miss out on things or experiences because I'm afraid I'm gonna like go overboard. Like I've never tried to do things in moderation. Like I never like when I was drinking to cover up how I was feeling. I've never had a drink to enjoy it. I didn't know like what that looked like.
Yeah.
So I was like, I owe it to myself to just try, and that's definitely a dangerous thing. Like that's what they say in AA. It's like, if you drink one time, you're going to go end up dead on the side of the street. And I was like, for a second, I was like, oh my God. Like, but that was never me. That was never my story. So it was like, I know that being sober works. So like worst case scenario, we just go back to the rooms and like, try and get back. So like,
how was it?
It was awesome. It was amazing. The drinks were great. I had 3. And then the next day I had a little bit of a headache and was like...
But did it trigger you at all? Or did you feel like, how did you feel from it?
I mainly felt guilty. I felt super guilty because, all I hear every day, like from my mom and my dad is, oh, we're so proud of you. Like how far you've come, like, but it kind of put me on like a weird pedestal in a way. Like I was like, okay, like you're super proud of me, but we're sitting around at Christmas and y'all are like shit-faced and I'm just sitting here watching you. Like it got to like, not saying that that's something that like I want to do, but it was like, it felt like I was no longer sober for me. And it was like, like...
It was more about other people's expectations and the way they viewed you.
Yes. And I was like,
that's... kind of like maintaining that.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not any better than anyone else. Like, why am I trying to hold myself to such like a high? Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, it's not the end of the world. I don't know. I'm still discovering it.
Still figuring it out.
Still figuring it out. But it's like, I didn't like how I started feeling. I didn't like how counting the days I felt better than other people. Like it's like we were all one drink away from like this crazy downfall that they speak of. And so it was like just finding a balance of like, okay, am I still getting my routine done? Am I still working out in the morning? Am I still, taking care of my dog? Am I still meditating? If I'm still doing all those things and I had 2 beers, like I think I'm fine, like just finding my balance for myself that keeps me to like my goals and what I want to achieve, and not like weighing myself down by like the expectations of nothing in your body. Like, it just felt like a lot.
Did you discover what triggered you in the past? Were there like certain triggers?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it was either being at like a session where there was drugs on the table, lots of alcohol, and it felt expected. Or it was, whenever anyone would talk about, if they went through something similar to my experience, like with sexual assault, and sexual trauma, like whenever that, I would just become so uncomfortable, like in my body, where it was like, I just didn't want to be there. I wanted to disassociate. I wanted to go get a drink, go get high, because being high would make me anxious, but at least I would know that it was anxiety from the weed, and then I could deal with that, and like not just like, there's nothing in me.
It wasn't like an escape? There was a little bit of an escape?
It was absolutely an escape.
Yeah.
Like it was like, I don't like how I'm feeling right now, so like let me just, escape.
Yeah.
And it was an easy way for a while, but it just wasn't sustainable.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate a little bit. I've never gone to rehab or done that, but there are times where I do a little bit of stuff, drugs and stuff, and I notice for me it's because I get triggered. For me it's like if something really stressful happens, if it's like a breakup.
Yeah.
Like if I use it to cope.
Mm-hmm.
I use it if I'm like really bored.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm really bored and I have nothing to do, then that kind of like,
it's like, why not?
it's a little bit of a
of course.
It's a little bit of like a temptation. Or if I'm going through like a really tough breakup, because it's like it hurts so much.
Yeah.
I'll use it to cope, and then once I feel like I'm over the breakup, then all of a sudden I don't want to do anything anymore, and I'm like fine again.
Yeah.
And I know that's not healthy.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is it's coping mechanisms, right?
It's coping.
And like when I went to rehab, I was sitting there and I was like, wait a second, we need to be teaching this to kindergartners. Like these coping mechanisms, these life skills. Like I was like, why is this not implemented in all of our schools? Like why are we teaching them about Christopher Columbus? Why don't we start teaching them coping mechanisms, how to deal with stressful things? Like
it's so surfacey in school because they just teach don't do drugs, don't do this,
yeah,
this is that, but they don't really get into,
because it's like, well, why is that person doing drugs?
Yeah.
Are they doing it just because, or are they doing it because they're bored? Or are they doing it because they're going through a breakup? Or are they doing it because somebody is hurting them and they don't feel like they can talk about it? So they hurt themselves? Like it's like, what is the cause, so that way that person can either heal or you can understand them better, maybe, so yeah.
So the song Quit Tomorrow is about all this?
Yes, it is. I was on FaceTime with my best friend Michael, and at the time my nicotine was so bad I was hitting 2 joules at once, like at one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just to get the head rush,
because more's
man.
going in?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need that. So I was sitting there like this, and Michael was like, you told me you were going to quit tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, I know. I said that twice yesterday. And in my head, I was like, oh, that's a song. Like, I was like, there's so many things that I say that I'm going to start tomorrow, or like, it's fine because like I'm going to deal with it tomorrow, And then that night, I like woke up at like 5 a.m. with the chorus in my head. And I sat down at my computer and I just touched the keyboard, and the lyrics in the song came out and the melody. And I was like, oh, fire. And the next day I had a session with my boys, Boston and Pat, who produced the record, and also Joe Kirkland. And I was like, I'm going to bring this to them tomorrow, and we're going to write a smash. And so my recording of it that I did at 5 a.m. was super slow because I was trying to figure it out, like as I was doing it in real time. And so I played it for them, and they were like kind of listening. And I'm like, yeah, no, but it needs to be like Stacy's Mom meets like Gives You Hell All American Rejects. Like I was like, this is the anthem. Like it needs to be an anthem.
Yeah, feels that way.
And we finished the song in like an hour.
Good sign.
Yeah. So I was like, perfect. This is
When did
everything
you
we
write
need.
it? When was this?
2021, I want to say.
So COVID.
Yep, around that time.
You
So
were
it was
sitting
like,
on a lot of songs.
yes.
Right?
Yep. The this new EP that we're just gonna be doing singles for pretty much is called Sabotage, and the earliest song from that is 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many songs are going to be on the EP?
Right now it was 6, but now I think I'm gonna do 7.
And
So,
how many of those are going to be singles? All
all of them.
Yeah?
All of them. We're just gonna give them each their moment
Okay.
and just roll them out that way.
And are you doing it independently?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
How-
All fully funded by me.
Yeah.
It's hell.
I was going to say, how do you feel about it?
Right now I would be lying if I wouldn't say I'm discouraged. Like, it's, when you're so used to seeing the label side of things and the machine push things, it just like I'm even managed by myself right now. So it's like I'm doing everything from talking to the mixers, from paying the mixers to talking to the master people, like doing that all, negotiating the deals by myself. Like I'm doing it all, like figuring out how much promotion, like we're going to, invest into this. Like it's not a we, it's me, So it's like, and like for a long time, because like I had so many other managers, but my thing was like, I wake up, eat, sleep, and breathe my music. You know what I mean? And it's like, until I find the right person to partner and help, who will understand that and work as hard as me, it's like I don't want it. Like,
yeah, you want it to be organic. That's the best
exactly
way for the manager to come.
Exactly. So it's like I'm kind of just, I know I have a very, very big expectation. So it's like if I'm the only one who I have to deal with managing that expectation, then it's easier for me to deal with. So it's like right now we're looking for a new distributor because we had basically like, TikTok has their new label right now. It's called Sound On, but their contracts are kind of sneaky. And so like there's a lot of people signing them, but like I can't because of the deal that I'm in currently. And I wanted to work with them because that's where like the whole music industry is right now. But like with Sound On, I couldn't because I would be in breach with my contract with Warner Chappell. So we are now trying to find a new distributor to go for the next release, for the next song.
Is this the first? This is the first single off the EP.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. When did you decide to put it out?
3 years ago, 2 years ago.
But okay. And
yeah,
it just came out. But when did you actually like set a date for it?
The date's been moved 3 times.
Yeah.
So like it's really interesting. My brother actually, we're working as a team right now. He was actually like, that's like a really big story. So when I was 18 in the beginning, he was like he worked for Scooter Braun in the beginning. Like he went to school for music business, but like I was the one who did music first forever. Okay. He was just watching American Idol one day and decided he wanted to be Simon Cowell or whatever. But like I knew born and raised, that's what I was going to do was music. So we were kind of like teammates in the beginning and he got me my publishing deal. And then we were like not talking for like 3 years. We got into a huge argument and I fired him. And then it messed up family holidays and it was brutal for like a minute. And then just recently after like my sobriety and everything, like we kind of sat down and like talked about everything. And like he's so smart, like creatively, like marketing wise. Like he's so smart with like his connections and things like that. So I was like, listen, I will pay you to help me put this out and distribute it, give it the best like shot you got right now. So he's my teammate in this situation. And it's been like, yeah, it's fun to work with him again, but it's also difficult to like manage that relationship. Like that's my brother, but that's also somebody that like I hired to get a job done. So it's like trying to manage that and like also like figuring it all out, but I'm super grateful for him. Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice were you getting about the independent route? Like what I'm curious is you have the relationships with a lot of people in the industry, and then but when it comes to your own project, do you have certain people you go to? Like, are you hesitant to go to certain? Are you like, do you have to be mindful of like not asking too much of people in terms of like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, there's certain things you can and can't ask for. And
Yeah.
like for one pretty funny example, I texted Wendy Goldstein, the head of Republic, and was like, listen, I have my artist stuff. I want to play it for you. She's like, yes, doll, of course. Like 100%. Like, we'll get you a meeting. We have the meeting. She cries. She's so emotionally moved from the music. And I just was like, in my head, I'm like, yes, I'm crushing it. Like, this is going so well. And then she goes, are you on the TikTok? And I was like, Wendy, am I on the TikTok? Like, yes, of course I'm on the TikTok. What do you mean? Like, yeah. And she goes, once you have 2 million followers, we will just write the deal and send it over.
Fuck.
And I looked at her and I was like, are you serious right now? Like, I was like, 2 million followers, and then you, like, so once I've done all the work for you.
And I have the audience.
Yeah. And I looked at her and I was like, all right, let me know when you need the next Joe Bro single. And she's like, I will, doll. Like, and then like, I'm out the door. And like, I just was so frustrated in that moment because it's like, okay, you know, I have made Republic so much money from the songs that I have written for them for so many
Like,
years.
you've clearly shown that the songs will do well.
And because labels right now in the current climate, you know, they don't want to invest. It's risky. It's risky to like develop a new artist and things like that. And like Wendy and I are best friends. She would laugh at this story. Like, I'm not worried about it, but like, it's just, those are like the inside pieces.
Because she's also representative of the whole machine that she's part of.
Yeah.
Like, there's only probably so much she can do.
And they're making so much money. Why change it up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why change it up? And that's the difficult thing is like when there's so many songwriters. I'm not saying that they're good ones, but there's so many people that can fill the calendar in the day. If like, let's say one person says they want a master point on the record, there's 800 other people they can call to fill in the spot. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to pick your battles, because it's like, if you don't show up, someone else will. You can't ask for too much, because if you do, someone else won't. So it's a constant like, what can I say? What can I do? How can I act? What can I, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I'm in the same boat. I have an EP that I'm going to be putting out independently.
Congratulations.
But that wasn't always the plan.
Yep.
We were shopping it for a while. And I had one song. It's going to be the first single. I had one song that I did have. It was Sony China was interested in the song, and I was like super excited, but then we couldn't find partners in the other territories to make it work. And then just like it kind of all fell through. It just didn't make sense. And then now we're putting out independently. And for me, it was kind of like, it was difficult it took like an adjustment of like first thinking it's going to go out on a major label, but then realizing like, no, it's actually got to go out independently.
Yep.
But then the people around me are saying, they're encouraging.
Yeah.
Especially if the songs are good. Like, the songs are good, they're going to find a way.
Yeah, they're going to find a home. And that's the thing is, it's like, the music needs to come out. I got to that point where it's just like, I just need to put these records out. And like, I don't care if I'm the only one who listens to them. I'm just sick of doing it on my Dropbox. Like, it's like, yeah.
That's exactly why I'm putting the EP out, because I had these songs and I was like, I know I'll regret. They can't die on a hard drive.
Yeah.
I've got to put them out.
Yeah.
I put one song out with a label, and that song did well, but then I was considering like retiring and like, and for me, I don't know about you, but for me, it's all about like, I just can't have regrets.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this, what's the story going to be? Like, I put one song out, it did what it did, and then I didn't follow it up with anything.
Yeah.
I didn't try.
You just let it be.
I moved on to something, you know, and I was like,
Yeah.
I knew that would eat at me forever. So I was like, I'm just going to put this out just for my own peace of mind. And like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. And like, honestly, back to your like first thing that you asked me was like the numbers game. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. And like the one thing, I got to open up for B. Miller in 2019, performing live as like the opener of her opener. And to watch the fans resonate, not only like start singing the lyrics back to me by the time the second hook came around, like every single night. Some people were following us like for 4 shows just to watch my 10-minute set again. Like, it was like a surreal experience. And I realized like, wait, this is what fills me up. This is what gives me joy, is the face-to-face connection, singing to the fans, seeing them resonate with the songs. I don't care when it says, you know, 1 million streams, 10 million streams, 100 million, 2 billion. Like those, to me, that doesn't matter. To me, what matters is the girl who got the tattoo has a story to tell me about why that helped her, you know, or why that helped him or why that helped them. And like, that's what gives me purpose. Like, I know that these songs are so good and I know that they'll stream however well when they stream, but it's so not important to me. Like, what's important is that it changes the life of just one person, because that's why I created it, you know? And then like, I just love performing so much, not for the reason of like everyone's looking at me, like, yeah. No, I have a way with words and a way of putting things that I think are so universally experienced that it's like, I just want to share that with the world, you know, and see it resonate with people or see it not resonate with people and laugh about it, you know, like it's like, that's what gives me purpose. And yeah.
On that note, I definitely want to hear the song live.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break.
Cool.
And then when we get back, we're gonna dive into live performance, and then I definitely have questions about the Grammys and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back here on Life Rhythms.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
I'm quitting tomorrow.
Perfect.
There it is.
I'm quitting tomorrow. You hit me up. I know for what. You're too cute to.
Welcome back to Life Rhythms Radio Show. I am your host, Ryan Skyy. I've got my guest with me in the studio, Kennedi. She's a singer and a songwriter. She's Grammy-winning. She wrote on Dua Lipa's last album, Future Nostalgia. She's written for Ariana Grande and Britney Spears, Snoop Dogg, Ray, Jessie J, Maroon 5. Like, the list is crazy. But she's here because we're featuring your song, Quit Tomorrow.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about it in the first segment and it's related to your relationship
with drugs and alcohol.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're going to play a little for us today?
I am, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I'll just get right into it. 9 o'clock, out on the dot, smoke some weed and it hit the spot. Maybe it's helping me, maybe it's helping me, maybe it's not. Then I ate too much for breakfast and I ain't checked shit off the checklist. It's depressing and it's not even 11. Yeah, it kinda seems hypocritical that they try to teach you when you're vulnerable and you try to undo it and get addicted to it. Well, I'm gon' quit it tomorrow. I know I said it twice yesterday. I know I smoke too much and I like loving drugs a little, but I'm gonna be okay, 'cause I'm quitting tomorrow. I'm quitting tomorrow. You hit me up, I know for what. You're too cute, too dangerous. Could teach a class on kiss my ass, but not with you. And I'm the one who gives advice to all my friends, but I think twice every time I second guess when it comes to you. And I know that it kinda seems hypocritical. I guess I still haven't let you go. I'm cleaning takeout where we made out in the backseat of my car. Well, I'm gon' quit it tomorrow. I know I said it twice yesterday. I know I smoke too much and I like loving drugs a little, but I'm gonna be okay, 'cause I'm quitting tomorrow. I'm quitting tomorrow.
Yay! Yeah.
Thank you.
Every single note you sang is perfectly on pitch.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
The people in my comments be talking about auto-tune this and that, so
No,
come on,
this
guys,
was
listen
dry.
to this. Listen to this, guys.
This was no reverb. This was no auto-tune.
Nothing.
Like, we've got nothing on the effects chain.
Amazing.
That
we
was
love
beautiful.
that. Take that, Dave 2792.
Yeah, yeah. Find something else to troll about.
Yeah, come on.
Wow.
Well,
thank you
so
for sharing
much.
that with us.
Yeah, of course.
I would love to talk about some of these lyrics.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I have them printed out.
All right.
Are there any like off the bat that stand out to you? Do you have any favorites that come to mind?
I mean, all of them, to be honest. Like, it's just, we start at the top, 9 o'clock on the dot, smoke some weed and it hit the spot. Like, I used to wake up at 9 in the morning and rip my bong, my 24 karat bong. She was beautiful. And I would just...
In the morning?
In the morning.
Okay.
And I would just get so high and then start my day like that. And then I would eat way too much for breakfast.
Because you're high?
Yeah, and not do anything that I was supposed to do. And it would be 11. And I'd be like, okay, this is depressing. Like, just sat around and smoked weed. And like, is it helping me? Probably not, you know?
Is it helping me?
Like, no, but like, it maybe?
How did that affect your songwriting? Did it affect your work ethic? Other than getting stuff done at home, you were still going to sessions. You were still...
Yeah, so that was the problem, was I was still successful while high. So I was like, it's not a problem then. Like, if I'm...
What's that called? There's a term for that. It's like, what is that called? Where you're...
High functioning...
Yeah,
high functioning alcoholic or high functioning drug user?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's kind of the trap, is because it's not necessarily interfering where it's like too much, where it's ruining your career.
Yeah, so why change it? Like...
Yeah.
And...
like, there's no rock bottom, right?
Exactly.
It's not like, oh my God, I missed these sessions. I lost my
There's nothing to show me that what I did was wrong.
I didn't pay my rent. I got evicted. I got, like, you don't have that, right? You never had that rock bottom.
No, I never had. Like, I had a different type of rock bottom. Like, it was, I realized that, like, I had gotten the Grammys. I had gotten the billions of streams. I had gotten the credit to say Grammy-winning writer in my bio. I had achieved working with all of the top artists, but there was a period of time where I was stuck on my couch for maybe 2 months and like did not leave, didn't tell anyone where I was.
Afterwards?
Yeah. Didn't like, I was in a state of crazy depression where it was like I was not, and nobody noticed. And I had this like epiphany in my head. I was like, oh my God, like nobody would know if I died. Like, and it was just like a really dark thought where I was like nobody checks in on me. Nobody, my family doesn't live here.
I think about that too.
And I was like, if I don't get myself up now and get myself help, then everything that I've worked for is just like such a waste. And I just had this thought, like, if I did all of these things and got all of these accolades, these whatever, if I did all of this loaded, what can I do sober? I had never answered that ever.
Was there a fear, like, I can only write?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like the pain and the torture is what makes me a good songwriter? Or is it what makes me a good songwriter?
Well, yeah, because that's what I had been told. It was like I was told by my team in the beginning that like that was what made me great, was that I was, this explosive character or whatever. But then when I got sober, it's about time, we really were waiting for you to get help. And I was like, and then I realized that I was like, you know what? Like, I always say, like, I'm a vessel. Like, I don't think I'm writing these songs. I think they already exist. And it's like, I just was chosen to let them flow through me. Because the only time I have a problem trying to write a song is when I'm trying to write a song. Like, whenever I'm, like, really overthinking something or, like, what, other than that, like, it's like, I'll touch a piano and it comes out.
Yeah.
Like, it just is. And, like, I don't, like, one of my friends who's, like, a really strong runner, like, she just can run. Like, it's crazy. And I'm like, how the hell do you just, like, run? Like, that's crazy. And she's like, well, how do you write songs? And I'm like, I don't, I just do it. And she goes, I don't, I just do it. And, like, it was, like, at that moment where I was like, wow, like, we don't really know why, but it happens. So it's like, just don't don't get in the way of it. And there's things that I do or that I did in my daily life that I was getting in the way. And so if still through smoking all this weed, through drinking the drinks, I was able to get this far, like I was like, I've never given myself that chance to try and do it without that. and just see what happens.
Yeah, imagine if my mind was sharp
Yeah.
and firing on all cylinders.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been.
And I was reading about one of your interviews online. You were talking about your songwriting process, and you talked about how when you're writing to another track, you like to not hear it for the first time until you're right in the vocal booth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want all of that initial
right away
of melodies to come out.
Yeah.
And you start off kind of like with gibberish, and then you kind of figuring out what's being said
in the gibberish. Yeah. That's normally my process. And like sometimes it's funny because like producers, they'll not want to they'll want to like have the right beat. Like if we're gonna spend a lot of time on it, like we want the right beat. And I'm like, we'll know within the first 2 minutes if it's the right beat. Like I'm like, just put me in the vocal booth. We'll know in 2 minutes if it's worthy of chasing, if it's not. And that's my favorite way to work, because if we're not starting something together organically in the room, if it's somebody who feels stronger starting from like a pre-made idea, then I'm normally just like, I'll just look at the titles of like what they've named them, and if it like says like a street name or like something like that, normally I'll pull up like that one. I'll be like, just that one, and then we run with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to do more about these lyrics. Because let's see. What about verse 2? I was curious about that. You hit me up, I know for what.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's just about that one person in your life that is like, that they just like, that they just want sex. They just want sex. They don't care about you. They just want sex. And you're like, you hit me up, I know for what. Like, you're too cute, too dangerous. And like, I could advise all my friends, if anyone else was in this situation, I'd be like, don't pick up the phone. Like, don't, you've been through this chaos before. Like, don't. That's me. I will literally be like, why are you doing this again? This is stupid. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just that one person that just gets you and you're like, all right, one more time.
And what about the I could teach a class on Kiss My Ass?
Yeah, it's like I could teach a class on Kiss My Ass, but not with you. Like it's
normally
like,
I could be like, kiss my ass, no thank you, but with you I can't. Like, kind of like a weakness for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm gonna quit it tomorrow. I'll stop acting like this tomorrow. Like I know the right answer is not hanging out with you, not answering that call, but
yeah.
Whatever.
Have you always found yourself, are you always the one giving advice? Have you always been that one where like were you always somebody where people were just like sharing their life story with you, like random people?
Even at the airport, like I will just be sitting at the airport and somebody will come up to me. This happened like a week ago. Like I had just landed from like a 19-hour flight. I was just standing like waiting for my bag, and this like 65-year-old guy just came up to me and he was like, can I just ask you something? I was like, yeah. And he was like, me and my wife are getting divorced and I just don't really know what to do. And like just out of nowhere. And I was like, okay. I was like, do you still love her? And he was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, then let her know. And he was like, thank you. And just like walked away.
What?
But yeah, like that's just, but like it happens on the daily. Like people will just come and tell me things that are going on in their lives. And like, and that's such an honor that like, people feel like my energy is that open that they can tell me, these things. But like, it's heavy. Like every therapist I've ever hired, it's never worked because the therapists tell me I help my therapist like normally. And I'm like, this is not like one of my last therapy sessions. My therapist was crying about whatever. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be like, this is about me, but this is about me. This is kind of about me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't been to a therapist in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just.
That is so interesting about people coming up to you, because there is something, and I've always wondered what that is, that we can recognize something in certain people where we just know we can talk to them or we feel drawn to them. And I always wondered what that was.
It's just, it's energy,
It is. Like, it's definitely something intangible that is there that
we can't pick up on, but we can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know Jordan Peterson?
I don't think so.
No, I talked about him on the show. I mentioned him before, but he's a psychology professor based in Toronto, and he has a really beautiful take on artists.
Mm.
And he talks about how artists look and look and look and look, and then they observe the world and they see things, and then they put what they see in their art. And that his main thing that he said is like artists teach people how to see.
Interesting.
Because it's like we see things in the world and then we put it in the art, and then when people consume the art, they're able to see what you saw,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also teaching them how to see,
Yeah.
like how to look.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really interesting.
Isn't
yeah.
that cool?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like as a storyteller, you definitely do that in your songs.
Yeah. It's funny because this my next single that I have coming out is called Bummed. And
Bummed?
Yeah.
Bummed,
Like
okay.
I'm bummed.
Yeah.
Like, bummer.
Yeah.
Like, dang, okay, you actually don't care about me, bummer. Like,
Okay.
and I was talking to this girl for a little while, more so just kind of enduring this girl. Like it was kind of like I was just really busy.
Enduring.
And she was just there, and I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, because she also had this boyfriend that she was dealing with, and I'm like, I don't have time. I'm working. You know, I'm working, but like, you know, you're cute. It's cool. It's whatever. But whenever she needed anything, like I was there, like there for her, no matter what, like whatever. The one time I needed like to be picked up from somewhere, she's like, oh, that's too far. And like,
Oh.
exactly, right? And the best part is like the week prior, her car had got repossessed. We had to drive all the way to Utah to get it. Who was there? Me.
Oh my God.
Me.
Utah?
Yeah. And so one of the lyrics in the song is like, drove you out of town when they repossessed your car, but you never picked me up because it's a little far. And it's like,
Damn.
And the pre is like, congratulations, I guess I win. Yeah, I did it. Said I loved you more, and you know I did. And you'd never validate it. That's another thing that you don't give. And like, it was funny because when I wrote this song, she got so upset. And she was like, you cannot put this out. And I was like, yes, I can. She's like, everyone's gonna know. I'm like, first of all, no one knows who you are. No one knows who you are. But also, like, these are my life experiences. And she's like, well, it sounds so bad. I'm like, but that's what happened. Like, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
This is what you're signing up for when you date me.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
you know?
you thought, like,
Come on.
treat me better and there would have been good songs about you.
It's
but
like you can be my muse, but you can also
exactly.
inspire some other.
You could be my muse or I could be your downfall. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was funny though because I think that she actually is like a narcissist because like after just doing some like stepping back and like looking at it, because after I like explained the situation, it was like she just couldn't see any type of like couldn't take any accountability whatsoever. And I was like, I'm not asking for anything except for you to see how this made me feel. And just wasn't able to process it or whatever. And then when I played the song, like I literally got her in my car, played the song in my car and just looked at her. Like I was
did you
like,
tape it?
Understand. No, I should have.
That would have been a great video.
I know. And she started crying. She was like, I just like didn't know that you like felt like this. And I was like, yeah, like this is how it felt. Like I'm just bummed. Like I'm not. There's like one line that's like, I'm not disappointed. I just got to mention, knew I dodged a bullet. This much I expected. Like I'm just bummed.
Yeah.
And like it was like a weird thing because it was like I never loved this person, but I cared for her as if I did. And like our relationship never went further because we both were not like there, you know? And so it was like just like this thing where I was like, let me lay it out for you like this. And like this is how it felt. This is how it was for me.
Yeah.
And then when she saw it that way, she was like, I fucked up. I was like,
yeah. But too late.
Yeah, exactly. I
At
was
least
like,
she got it.
yeah. But then it was like, I just don't think that song should come out. And I'm like, oh, it's going to come out. And so is this story. And everyone will know.
Yeah. Now you've got this clip that
Yeah.
you can use for promo for
I'll
Bummed.
just tag her. I'm just kidding. I think I'm blocked at this point, honestly.
She'll get over it.
I don't care.
She'll be flattered at some point.
Yeah, she'll be. Yeah. It'll be a whole skater boy moment.
I want to ask you about dating. I've always wanted to talk about this particular topic on air. About. Well, have you been in anything long term?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long?
The longest relationship I've been in was probably about 3.5 years.
Okay. What I think about this a lot because I date guys, you date girls. And I've always been fascinated by masculine and feminine energy within same-sex couples.
Yep.
And the reason why...
this is a topic. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've always wanted to talk about this on air, but it just didn't come up, or I'll forget to bring it up. But okay, this is why I'm interested about it, because I feel like, well, first of all, when I moved to LA, I was 30, and I was out of 2 long-term relationships, and I realized that for the first time in my life, I was dating. And I never had to date before. And I realized when I got here, like, oh my God, like I'm 30 years old and I've never had to approach somebody, ask for their phone number, ask them on a date, go on the first date, do the whole courtship thing.
Yep.
So I had 0 experience.
Oh, wow.
So when I moved here and I was single and I started to date, and I definitely like screwed it up a bunch of times because I didn't understand the dynamic. Yeah. And there was a couple like potentially good matches that totally just went sideways. And the pain from that caused me to search for answers. Like, okay, what happened? What went wrong? Let me learn this. Yeah. So like I started studying dating basically, but like most of the dating coaches focus on heterosexual relationships because that's most of the population. So, but it does apply. And they would even say like the ones that really get it would say like this applies to gay same-sex couples also, but that basically every couple, there's one that's more in the feminine side. Everyone has both feminine and masculine energies. Yeah. But in terms of the couples, one tends to be more on the masculine energy side, one on the feminine. And like the more on either side you are, it creates polarity. And the more polarity you have, the stronger the sexual tension. Yep. But like it can get so confusing for guys when you have like top and bottom. Yep. And then you have some people are versatile, which means they do both. And it's like, so like, it's not gender roles because you're the same gender. And so, okay. So this is why I want to ask you about it. Cause like I predominantly in my relationships was a top. Yep. So I would always take on that role in other areas of the relationship, and it worked well. But recently I dated somebody where it was very clear in the beginning that if we're gonna date, like I would be the bottom. I would be the bottom. Yeah. And I like totally embraced it. I've done it before, and like I embraced it because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do it, like I'm gonna totally like I'm gonna embody that. Yeah. We can't both be given top energy and like it from what I just said. Yep. So I was like, I'll do it. Like I really like this person. He has a lot of really great qualities and stuff, and I could see things working out. So we dated for like a month and a half, but what ended up happening for me was like he was not ultimately giving enough of the top energy. Got it. Yeah. And it turned me off. Yeah. You know, like he was honestly acting more like a bottom. And it's just like... Bummer for him. What? Bummer for him. Yeah, I was really bummed about it. What a disappointment. I was really bummed because I really liked him. He's a great fucking guy. Great catch. Yeah. But like, it's like, if you're going to act this way and kind of present yourself this way, I'm not going to want you to top me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to want it. Yeah. You know, it's like... And I wanted to want it. I wanted to like, so I was actually That's bummed. Really bad when you're really wanting to want, like, But he was like just not showing. He was not Absolutely, yeah. So, but I've never really talked to anyone else about this. Yeah. So I'm curious. I would love to talk to you. Like, what is your experience like with that, with dating girls? So it's crazy because actually like growing up in my household, like being gay was not okay at all in any shape or form. Grew up super Christian, super conservative. And that kind of built like an
like I have like a homophobia that I still deal with to this day.
Like internalized?
Yeah, that like just I still have trouble like processing because I was so born and bred as it's wrong. You know, it's wrong. God created a man and a woman. You know, I wrote poems about it at my Christian school, like just how wrong it was. And it's been interesting because in the conversations that I've had with my family now, they, you know, are way more accepting, like they're working on it. But there still is in conversations with my dad, you know, there's times where he'll be like, you know, I just really want somebody strong and I want someone to take care of you. I want someone to take care of you. And like to him, that looks like a man. You know what I mean? But to me, I take care of me. Like he hasn't taken care of me in a long time. I've paid my bills for a while now. Like and things like that. So I think it comes down mostly to the person and how much work you've done on yourself and what you're looking for to complete you. You know, like we could get into the names of the sexualities, if you're bisexual, if you're asexual, if you're all the other ones, or if you're, you know, if you're a top, if you're a bottom, if you're a switch, if you're a reverse. But like at the end of the day, what I've realized is it's like I wrote a list of all of the things that I wanted in my ideal partner. Like I just wrote down what I wanted them to look like, what I wanted them to act like, what I wanted them to like. And then what I did was I mimicked that list. I became that list.
Yeah.
You know, so that like I would attract people who, you know, do those things too. Like you can't want your partner to be super fit if you're not fit yourself.
Yes.
Like, you know, like it's like you got to go to the gym, honey. If you want someone who's at the gym, and you'll probably meet your person at the gym. If you want someone who's a chef, go take cooking classes. You know, go insert yourself into that situation where you'll find somebody who, you know, will reciprocate that energy. And like as far as like tops and bottoms go, like it's like I'm very much top energy, like absolutely. But like my partner, she's so dope. She's this beautiful girl from Berlin, and she like is the
Have you dated her for a while?
We just started dating in April.
You just started. I saw you post something on your TikTok. I wonder if it was with her.
Yeah, probably.
Was it with her?
Yeah,
She's super cute.
Yeah,
she has dark hair.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with her.
She's a cutie.
I'm very much in love. And she is so cool because she just meets me where I'm at, like energy wise. She's not in music at all. But she like, and she's 2 years younger than me, which was like not what I planned for. Like we did not expect to fall in love. Like it was just gonna be, I saw her on TikTok and I was like, I said to my sister, I was in Fargo, North Dakota on Christmas last year, and I saw her on my For You page, and I said to my sister, I was like, that's my girlfriend. And my sister was like, what? And I was like, this is my girlfriend. She just doesn't know it yet. And my sister was like, okay, like whatever. And I was like, no, watch. And I went and I DM'd her on Instagram. And because I knew I had more pull there. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I got the blue check. I got the blue check. Yeah. So I messaged her and I said, come to LA and I will buy you dinner and write songs about you. And so she hit me back in like an hour, and like it was like an hour on the dot. So I knew she had seen it right when I sent it. And she like waited. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, perfect. I got this. Like we're good.
She's like in her head thinking like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. And we have been and she flew out and like we just hit it off, and like we've been hanging ever since. We've been all around the world together, and like what we say all the time is like we're a team. Like it's like, you know, everything isn't 50-50. It's like I'm going to bring 100% of what I have, and like it's like match that with me, and like we can make it through anything, you know?
What's her personality like?
Oh.
In a romantic sense.
In a romantic sense. I'm
curious about your dynamic, because you said you give more top energy. So I'm curious, like, what's her energy like?
She's probably one of the most special people I've ever met in my life. She can get along with everybody, but she doesn't like really command attention. Like she'll be there, and like she could be a fly on the wall, or she can be the center of attention. Okay. And like I've just thought that that's so cool, because some people can't hang, you know what I mean? Especially like, and German is her first language. So like, you know, like she speaks great English and she understands, but like that's like would be so intimidating. Like I try and think about like going, you know, when you know, I hang out with her friends and they're all speaking German. I don't understand shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's hard to like feel like, am I enough right now? Like, can't communicate. So,
Yeah.
you know, but she's just so calm, so collected. And she has these big dreams. She loves motorcycles. She loves like different things than I do. And like, I always like make jokes because she's never looking at anyone else. But if a bike comes by, she's like, oh, like her knees go weak over like a motorcycle, like,
Yeah.
and she like loves Legos, and she's just a sweetheart. She's just a sweetheart. And like, but like when it comes to like the sex, like it's amazing, and it's because like we switch off. You know what I mean? It's like I'll let her have her moment, she lets me have mine.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just about balance.
That's interesting. Okay. Whenever outside of the sex, are you more of the leader, or do you both kind of like initiate things?
We both, and I think I would say that like I'm definitely kind of more of the leader, but we both will, like, I'll also allow her to step up if she wants to step up. You know, like we were just in Switzerland and she's like, I have a super fun day for us planned. And I kind of woke up and I was like, okay.
That's so nice.
Like, I'll follow you anywhere. Like, let's go. Like, what are we doing? And I think that that's just a trust thing. Like, it's like, do you trust yourself enough and also your partner enough to let them take the lead? Like, you know, and I think that has to do more with the security you have in yourself than it does in your partner.
Yeah.
You know, just by being like, okay, cool. Like,
yeah.
Whatever you want, like, let's go.
Yeah. For me, with the guy I was talking about, it was many factors. He was a great guy, but there was some mismatches there.
Spell it out.
Yeah.
Spill.
Okay. Well, the one was you had talked about physical. I mean, part of it was physical. It's like he doesn't take care of. First of all, he's 12 years younger than me.
Okay.
So he's younger than me, like pretty younger than me. And then also he's not really like taking care of his body. And I am.
Yep.
A lot. I eat healthy. I like fast. I go to the gym all the time.
Because it gets harder when we get older. Like,
yeah.
It's, you know.
But it's kind of like I'm putting in all this work and I want to be with someone who's putting in work too. And I would ask him, but like he used to be an athlete. He used to play water polo in school, and he refers to himself as an athlete, but like he doesn't look like an athlete. And there was something that was kind of like, this is interesting because like, so his main job is he's a commercial model. He's like a really nice, pretty face.
Yep.
But like his body isn't put together. But like he will go on auditions to like he went on to an underwear modeling audition, and he didn't get it, and they told him he doesn't look like his pictures.
Oh.
And I would just think to myself, like, why are you going on a model or underwear model audition when you're not like trying to put together a physique that would be appropriate for that?
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to sound super shallow.
No, but it's not shallow.
This is the other thing was personality-wise, pretty feminine personality. Like pretty feminine. Which I like feminine guys who are the bottom. I typically date guys who are like bubbly and like I love that feminine energy. Yeah. But for me, it makes sense when they're the bottom. Then I love it. But it just felt like a mismatch of energy. It's like you're not presenting. There's a mismatch of energy between how you're presenting yourself and like what you're wanting. Yep. And to me, it was just. It wasn't working. I just noticed that over time my attraction was going down. Yeah. And I didn't want it to. I'd be like, please, like I want to like him, like, you know. Yeah. Those are the main things. I mean, let me say some positive things about him was like he was super consistent with me, definitely secure attachment style. Like he said he'd do something, he would always do it. He planned things out, he always initiated things, great values, like a lot of really good qualities. But when it came down to like romantic feelings, they just weren't there anymore for me. Yeah. So I couldn't. And that's fair. I didn't want to waste his time. Yeah. Or my time. You know, like I gave it a couple of times. Like I started feeling it on one date, and then I was like, let me just see if this is just a fluke thing, or if I see him again and I'm continuing to have these. Oh, okay, I have something else to share. Okay, let's go. So I was like, if I have you're a songwriter, and I know you're probably taking notes, right?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I started to notice it the one date, how I was feeling, but I was like, well, maybe this is just a fluke thing. This is the other thing is like seeing therapists. They told, and this is why I gave it a chance for a while, is because I've had my therapist, the one that was teaching me about attachment styles.
Yep.
She told me, she's like, when you start to meet good matches for you, it's probably at first going to feel like you don't have chemistry, but it's only because it's not that like avoidant, anxious dance.
Yeah.
She's like, you've confused that anxiety of somebody who's like not fucking with you, but like somebody who's not a secure attachment style, and they're acting in certain ways that's creating like anxiety and uneasiness, and then you're used to that, thinking that that's chemistry. But I'm telling you,
thinking that toxic is passion.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's like, I'm telling you, when you start actually meeting good matches, you're not going to feel that at first, and you may just be like, oh, the chemistry's not there. But if you will just like give it some time, it will grow. So that's why I was like, it's going to grow, because he is a good catch. He's got all these good qualities.
He's a grower.
He's a grower. So I gave it like 7 or 8 dates.
Okay.
It didn't grow. So then by the when I started to feel that I was not feeling it anymore, I gave it one more date. And then during that date, I was still feeling the same way. And I'm like, oh, damn. And I was like, I definitely need to talk to him today, because I don't ghost people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a conversation through text or a call. Like, it's got to be face. I'm going to tell him face to face.
Yeah.
I know that, Tim.
That's respectful.
So we're going to see, we went to see, my friend was performing at the Comedy Store.
Oh, at first I thought you were going to say a movie. I was like, please tell me.
No, a movie. We were going to the Comedy Store, and one of the comics was joking about, he made a comment about how he's like, isn't it crazy when your feelings for someone change, how like fast it is? Basically what I was feeling in that moment, he was calling it out on stage about how quickly it's like so quick.
Did your hands start to sweat?
I did. I was really nervous because I also could, like, I was out of body watching myself. I could just tell I was more distant to him.
Yeah.
I was definitely acting, and I'm like, he probably is noticing it, but it's okay. I'm going to talk to him. And here's this guy on stage calling it out about like how somebody changes so fast when the feelings aren't there anymore. I'm like, this is so awkward. So then towards the end, he says to me, he's like, before the end of the night, like, can we talk? I was like, yes, let's talk.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, oh, he notices, he wants to talk. I'm like, yes. He's like, can we like go for a walk or let's talk? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, good. We're going to talk. So then we get to my car and we're talking. And then he makes a comment about how one of the comedians like said something that triggered him. And I was like, oh, he noticed it too.
Yeah.
But he pointed out something totally different. It wasn't that. It was something else.
Okay.
And then when he goes to talk to me, basically, he's like, what I want to talk to you about. And he basically was like wanting us to take the next step.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't know about it being exclusive, but definitely like taking the next step. And then as soon as he said that, just
you were like,
I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is crazy. And he started talking to me, but then when he saw my reaction, he's like, oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. He was like, scratch
like,
that. Forget.
Oh, you don't. Oh God. Oh, and it just like was really bad. Because then he could tell I was not feeling the same way, and it was super awkward, and he didn't understand why.
Yeah.
So then we had the conversation. I told him, it's like how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
isn't it crazy though how?
But we were on the different. I was like, how did he not notice?
Exactly. Like everyone is in their own world. You know. Like that's what's so crazy. Is it's like.
Yeah.
Everyone is experiencing their own things. Like you could be experiencing them next to each other, but you're having a completely different experience.
Yes.
Which just like one track mind. And like kind of something similar with my first girlfriend. It was like a high school relationship, and like we were going off to college, and she was going to Georgia and I was going to Long Beach State. Like it was crazy. But she was like, I want to be with you, and I was like, and then I was like, are you sure? Like college, and it just from the jump was not good. And like, so we stuck together for 3.5 years, and it was so bad. Like, the relationship was just so bad. We were just bad for each other. Like, I didn't want to be in it. I didn't have the balls to like break up with her. Like, it just was like I could not, stand my ground. And after it finally just shit hit the fan and it was just done, like it was over, like maybe 6 or 7 months later, this was like when COVID happened and I moved back home to Minnesota, like when the world was shutting down here and like I wanted to just be with family anyways. And George Floyd was murdered. And so that happened like in my backyard. There were protests happening like in the city. And so I texted her and I was like this has been over a year that we had been broken up and whatever. And I just was like reaching out and I was like, hey, I'm headed up to the protest. Like I was like, are you coming? Like would love to see you, like and catch up or something like that. And I went to the protest. She like didn't reach out or said something kind of weird about the whole thing. And then she was like, well, let's go get lunch or something, another day. And so I was like, okay, cool. So we go get lunch and like I'm thinking this is just going well, like it's good, to see this person that like I'd known a decade ago, like whatever, like we're chilling, we're having a good time. No, this is so bad. And then I'm like, you know what? Like I was like, it's so good to see you. Like it was so much fun. Like we probably spent like 5 to 6 hours together, just hanging out, talking about like life, like whatever. Life is good to see you. And I get back in my car and I'm like, okay, because I have a 2-hour drive home. Get back in my car. And then all of a sudden the car door opens again and she sits back down and she was just like, and immediately in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like I messed this up. Like I really messed this up. Like I was just thinking that like, how could there still be feelings? Like, how could there still be feelings, like anything. And she goes, I just feel like I'm still in love with you. And like, can we just like kiss right now? Like, I just feel like we should kiss and then like, just see if there's anything still there. And like immediately I went back to like where I was and that person I was in that relationship and how I just wanted to make her happy. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, like, yeah, we can kiss. And like, it was like a movie. Like my eyes were open. I was just like, this needs to stop. You know what I mean? Like when everything in your body is like wrong. Yeah. And I just was like, this is not, no. And she just kept trying to like kiss me and I like kind of like, pushed her off of me a little bit. And I was like, I don't feel this way anymore. And she just was crying. She was a wreck. And like I saw the same person that she was when we were 20 breaking up, at 25. And I was like, or 24, or however old we were when this was happening. And I was like, wow, like she had been waiting almost every single day that we broke up for me to come back for like this moment.
Oh.
And I was like sitting there and I was like, oh. Like, we're just on 2 different planets.
Yeah.
She asked me to play my new songs and wanted to know the timeline of things and, like, who so-and-so is about. And I was sitting here and I was just like, no. And it's so crazy how 2 people can be going through the same thing and just on a completely different wavelength.
Yeah. That feeling, that internal no.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that so intensely at the comedy during that date. And I hated it because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
But it was so intense inside of me. It was like, no. Like this
really
this is not.
no.
And I noticed it seemed like the more distant and I'm trying to be friendly with him. And obviously I want to have a good time, enjoy it.
It's like the more you force it, the worse it gets.
The more I'm feeling it. And I could tell this is probably subconscious, but he the more distant I was, I could tell he's trying to like close that distance.
Yeah.
So he was like touching me more, right? And then like whenever the lights came up and we were walking out, he like put his arms around me from the back and he was like kissing me and just
that sounds like no.
and I just was like
no.
But I didn't want to feel that way, but I did. And I was like, well, I can't deny this. And I also can't help it.
Yeah, you can't help it.
Because attraction is not a choice.
No.
It's not. It's not a choice.
You either you do or you don't.
But it was so crazy to me to think like a week ago, I was like really into him and like thinking about the future and stuff, but also still like being mindful of like, this isn't quite right. That's not quite right. Like I was still mindful of things that maybe it wasn't going to work. And in the very beginning when we dated, we did have a little bit of a little bit of a conversation where we did talk about. I did say like I don't know if this is gonna work. Like I did communicate.
Did you?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I communicated.
No, that's good.
Absolutely, I
I'm just
communicated.
pressing.
Yeah. I'm very like, yeah, I definitely communicate that I was unsure about him. I wasn't sure if this was gonna work. So that was kind of like but then we didn't really talk about it for a while. And then it just all hit at the end. I was like,
You're like, yeah, this is just, back to what I was saying a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. We're getting towards the end of the segment,
Mm-hmm.
but before we go, I want to ask you about, you had mentioned off air about, we were talking about the Grammy, because I was asking you about like semantics.
Yeah.
Right. Because you won as a songwriter, but you had mentioned about I want to ask you like when you achieved it, because I've had other people on that won Grammys and had accolades, and like they all kind of say that the build up to it was, and then actually it happening, it's not the same, and like they're super grateful for it to happen, but they were kind of surprised by how normal it felt when it happened and by how quickly the mind kind of like adjusts and moves on, or like it doesn't quite have the fulfillment that you think it's going to.
The best way I can describe it in a metaphor would be like an LA Christmas. Like if you're used to having Christmas with the snowfall and like it's like if it's as if you we're used to the Christmases where there's snowfalls and Santa came and there's 100 presents under the tree. And it's like that feeling of like waking up and it's Christmas morning, it's snowing outside, the cookies have been eaten because Santa did it or whatever. It's almost as if the next day was Christmas again, but there was no snow, and you found out that like your parents wrote the presents, and you're just like, oh, okay, but we celebrate this. Why? Like it's kind of like that. Kind of like the wow is gone. You know what I mean? And I won for Album of the Year with Dua Lipa for Future Nostalgia. And when I wasn't there at the Grammys. If I wanted to, I had to buy a ticket to sit like in the rafters. And then
but you were nominated. You're part of the team.
So
that's so wild.
I'm at home watching it with my friends. We're smoking a joint. And we're watching it on TV, and we find out that we won. And so I text the writer that I was working with at the time, and I was like, we won Album of the Year. He texts me back and goes, no, you didn't. He goes, did you write 33% of the album and not tell me? Because back then, that was the last, back then, if you were a songwriter on Album of the Year, you had to write 33% of the entire album in order to receive a statue. And so, he was just being a bitch and throwing that like, no, you didn't. Like, you really think you're hot shit type, just to kind of, whatever. And I texted back. I said, I didn't know that only the quarterback gets a Super Bowl ring, because they don't. The whole team gets it, obviously. Like, it's, it's a team effort. And so, once that was the reaction, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. I guess it's not that big of a deal. I just like made sure that next year songwriters would be given statues. So like I'm on the Recording Academy, and I was like, this is wrong. We should get statues. So now I'm just gonna have to win another one.
Yeah. Okay. You will.
Oh, absolutely.
But what was it? So what happened post winning?
It just didn't matter. Like it was, like I went to Grammy camp when I was 14 years old. Like I got to, it's this cool camp that the Grammy Foundation puts on, and I was one of the 10 songwriters selected when I was like 14 years old. And like I always like, I grew up like making a ceramic Grammy on my mom's bedside, and I told her I was gonna like give her, I was gonna replace it one day with a real one. And like you just think that something is gonna change like in you or on you, or like you just, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And I think that's how it is with everything in life. You're like, oh, I want to get the car. I want to get the house. I want to get the, I want this. I want whatever accolade, whatever thing that you want in life, you'll get it. And you might be content for a second, but then it's like, what's next? Because now it's like, okay, well now there's all this pressure of expectations of, Now I did this, so what am I going to do next? Like, I think I was 21 when we got the Grammy, and like, I mean, nothing happened. The next day was the next day at a session, I still hadn't received any money from the song, like I had to pay for the piece of paper that said I won the Grammy. Like, it's just, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And like, that was that was part of the thing that kind of sent me into my whole spiral, was how it doesn't matter, like working with these people, like these names, like it doesn't matter. What matters is the conversations that I have with them, or with whoever I'm with, or with the person who's screaming the lyrics at the top of their lungs. Like, it's like, that's what matters, asking somebody how they're doing and like listening to their answer, or helping somebody cross the street. Like, those are the things that matter. It's like, it sounds corny, but it's so true.
No,
it doesn't
sound
like,
corny.
It doesn't, none of this matters. The likes don't matter. The shares don't matter. The saves don't matter. Like, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
The song doesn't matter unless they felt something.
I think about that all the time. I think about like people like Marilyn Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
Elvis, people that are like had huge impacts on culture, and it's like already those people are fading into history.
Mm-hmm.
And like 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now,
Yeah.
it just for me puts it into perspective of
Yeah.
like, even if you reach such iconic status, like
Mhm.
even you are gonna kind of get washed into.
Exactly.
So what really is?
Which is why the songs need to come out, because
yeah,
that will outlive you.
yeah,
Like, that will always be there for people to listen to and experience.
yeah, yeah. Are you spiritual now?
Yeah, absolutely.
More so because of this experience? You went to Christian school?
I did, born and
I
raised.
did,
Like,
I did too.
I know everything about the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, I've come to this realization that God is so real. I think we all believe in the same God. We call it different things.
Mhm.
It can't be an accident how we're here. Like, that's just how I feel. And like, the inner feeling of right and like, we all pretty much have this is what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Like, the moral compass. Like, it's like, I just believe everything is light or dark, and like, you can choose to be a part of the light, or you can choose to be part of the dark.
Mm.
And that goes to everything, with every frequency. Like, it's like, whether in your daily interactions you can choose to be a source of light, or you can choose to be a source of darkness. Like, and I just think that like, our experience on earth is our heaven and hell. Like, I was making my life hell for a really long time. Like, I was choosing to make it harder to find a parking spot when I'm stoned out of my mind. Like, like, I was creating this personal hell, where it's like, when I was sober and everything was like, oh, I'm hitting all the green lights, I'm just like, not like, wow, this parking spot was just here. You know what I mean? Like, that was my own little slice of heaven. Like, I was like, and there's some things that we can control and we can't. But like, I just think it all comes down to being light or dark, and wanting to be light or dark. And like, especially in this industry, like, I saw people feed off of the dark, and I just made an active choice and was like, that's not how I do things. I know that that's how it works for you. That works for you. I can't sleep at night if I do that. So I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with that, then we don't have to work together anymore.
Yeah.
And
so you say you're more towards the light, right?
yeah.
I had a boyfriend once in the past that called me a light worker.
Yeah.
A light worker. And I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
We need more light workers in the world.
Absolutely.
And I think it's because the mind just tends to skew negative because it's easier and it's more about like kind of biology. Like,
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like the dark is like things like money, identity, ego.
Yeah.
Like greed, comparison. Whereas the light is like harmony and coexistence and what's like the lack of identity. Like, whenever now this is like a very controversial thing, but like, I hate labels. I hate like what they do to people. I think that like, because people will ask me to identify my sexuality all the time, and immediately I feel like I have to go back into the closet again. Like it's like I just want, like, if love is actually just love, like if love is love, why are we labeling it? Why are we trying to put, a box on it to just explain it to other people? Like it's like, okay, but like I don't want that to be, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that tag. I don't want that identity. I don't want that. Like I just want to be up here, like it's like I don't want to be the writer of the song. I just want to be a vessel, of light and love, and like however I can help you, whatever I can do, like it's not of me. Like I'm not here, like, yes, today we're here talking about like me and like my story, but it's like I wouldn't be me without something else. You know what I mean? And to me that's so clearly God. Like it's like,
yeah,
like I'm just like, yeah, like I'm here today. Yeah, how? No idea. Like,
right.
Literally
so wild.
No idea. We are on a globe floating in space. Like what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like it's like, who are we to think that we have any say in any of this? Like it's like, I'm just here today by the grace of God, and whatever anyone, calls God is like, I think that we believe in the same one.
Yeah,
and it's just like, and then when people label it as religions, if you're labeling a religion, then you ostracize other people. And then it pushes people further from, you label political parties, it pushes people further from each other. That's all part of the dark, and like I'm going like really into it, but like whenever but if you were to look at somebody and say, do you believe in God? And they're like, yeah. And you leave it at that, you're like, it's almost like you're cheering for the same football team. All of a sudden you're friends. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, but then it's like, okay, but what God? It's like, what do you mean, what God? Like, what planet are we on? Like, it's, it's like, why don't we just take a breath? And it doesn't have to be about sides. It can just be as simple as like, everyone wants love. They want to feel heard and understood. And like, they want to feel like they have a purpose. Like, pretty much everybody on the planet feels that way. So if you can just sit down with somebody and see him as that, like you most likely will be able to meet in the middle.
Yeah. Labels help us understand, but it also takes away from our understanding. It limits our understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eckhart Tolle, have you heard of him? He's an author. He's a spiritual teacher. He talks about like the little me. Like the big me is kind of like your consciousness.
Yeah.
And the little me is kind of the story we tell. Like, this is who I am. I'm a songwriter. I live in LA. But he talks about like even looking at a tree and saying that's a tree is super, super limiting. Because if you look at that thing, the minute you call it a tree, you don't see it anymore.
Exactly.
You see tree, but you don't see like
that it gives off oxygen.
You don't see like the living thing that's there. It's like these are little pointers, but they would never do it justice of what we're actually looking at and experiencing.
It's a completely different level of existence that I don't think people understand.
Yeah.
Like it's like when people are like, "Oh, are you pansexual?" I'm like, "No." Like I'm Kennedi. Like I just love people, I don't, and then it's like, then I have to go tell my grandma what pansexual means. I don't even know what it means. I don't like the name. Like it's like,
I don't know what it is. Like.
I don't, and it's just like, to me, that's putting me in a box of something, and then there's an expectation of the identity attached to that, and I'm just like, I just don't want it.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm gay. Whatever. Like just.
That's so. My brother's a priest, and we had a conversation about about the minute he became a priest, and now that he's out in the world, dressed as a priest, people no longer see him. They see priest, and they see whatever they view a priest as, all the good or the bad.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, I see when they look at me, I can just tell that people don't see me anymore. It's wild. They see this and all of the
and everyone feels that way about in some way, shape, or form. That's obvious because he has a priest outfit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that one's very easy. But there's like, or like, let's say even just a normal person who's going to like Harvard, for example, because they got into Harvard now.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna have to live up to Harvard. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know, but it's something because it's Harvard. You know what I mean? Like, there's just this. So if we can let go of the identities and the attachments, like then our egos will fall with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. We should end there.
Yeah, perfect. I feel good ending on that.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on Life Rhythms.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's been a pleasure.
For those listening, I just want to point out, if you came at any point in the conversation, the full video version of this conversation is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. And this went longer than what aired on Adobe Radio. So if you want the full conversation
shebang
that we had, make sure you check it out on streaming. And if you're watching on streaming, we're linking to all your socials.
Oh, amazing.
Kennedi, Kennedi.
Yep.
Everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
TikTok, Instagram.
TikTok is Kennedy Sucks.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's cute.
I just thought it was funny.
It is
You know what I
funny.
mean? Like, at least I got the haters covered.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But that's so punk of you to be like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, thank you for coming on Life Rhythm.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Light sources.
Yes.
We are
Okay,
light
we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.